Scene script. Have you ever wondered what the world would be like without wars? In the world we know today, conflict is a constant presence. It's embedded in the fabric of our societies, shaping the way we live, the way we think, and the way we interact with each other. It's in the headlines that grab our attention, the stories that move us, and the issues that divide us. From the silent tension that hangs in the air after a heated political debate, to the thunderous roars of artillery echoing across battlefields, conflict permeates our world. It's a world where nations spend trillions of dollars on military expenditure every year. A world where, even as we speak, countless lives are being lost in the name of power, ideology, or territorial disputes. Conflict doesn't just take lives, it alters them. It forces children out of schools and into battlefields. It turns thriving cities into ghost towns. It tears families apart, leaving behind a trail of broken hearts and shattered dreams. And then there's the silent victim of conflict, our planet. The environment bears the brunt of our wars, with forests reduced to ashes and rivers poisoned with chemicals. Every bomb that explodes, every bullet that's fired, every tank that rolls leaves behind a scar on the face of the earth. This is the world we know. A world that's been shaped by conflict. A world that's seen the worst of humanity and continues to do so every passing day. Now, imagine a different world. A world where the sound of laughter drowns out the noise of gunfire. A world where schools are filled with children and battlefields are turned into playgrounds. A world where nations invest in education, healthcare, and technology instead of arms and ammunition. A world where the environment is cherished, not exploited. A world that's driven by compassion, not conflict. But what if all of this could be changed? What if we lived in a world without wars? Imagine a world where disputes are resolved not by bullets, but through dialogue. In this world, the very idea of war is obsolete, replaced by a universal commitment to peace. We would see nations working together, not against each other, to resolve conflicts. The battlefield is not a desolate war zone, but a round table where leaders sit, discuss, and find common ground. In this tranquil world, the focus shifts from military might to the well-being of citizens. Governments invest heavily in education, making it accessible to everyone, regardless of their socioeconomic status. Schools bloom in every corner of the world, nurturing minds that will shape the future. Universities become hives of innovation, where the next generation of thinkers, creators, and leaders are born. Healthcare, too, undergoes a transformation. Instead of funding wars, nations pool resources to combat global health crises. Hospitals and clinics are state-of-the-art, equipped to provide the best care to those who need it. Preventive healthcare becomes a priority, with initiatives aimed at promoting healthy lifestyles and reducing disease. And let's not forget our environment. In this peaceful world, sustainability is not just an aspiration, but a way of life. The resources that were once used to build weapons of destruction are now utilized to restore our planet. Forests are revived, oceans are cleaned, and renewable energy sources are harnessed. The earth thrives, and so does every creature that calls it home. In this world, progress is measured not by the number of wars won, but by the quality of life of its inhabitants. It's a place where the fruits of development are enjoyed by all, where no one is left behind. And the most beautiful part? This world is not a far-fetched fantasy. It's a possibility within our reach. All it requires is a shift in perspective, from aggression to harmony, from destruction to construction, from conflict to cooperation. Such a world seems almost utopian, doesn't it? But remember, utopia is not a place to be discovered, but a destination to be created. And we hold the power to shape this peaceful reality. Not only would a world without wars be a more peaceful place, but it would also be economically prosperous. Imagine the immense wealth nations pour into their military budgets. The United States alone has an annual defense budget that exceeds $600 billion. That's more than the GDP of most countries. Now imagine all of that money being redirected to education, healthcare, infrastructure, and scientific research. The potential for human progress is truly staggering. In a world without wars, economies would be free to flourish without the burden of military expenditure. The focus would shift from weaponry to innovation, from defense to development. Our resources would be channeled towards sectors that would directly enhance the quality of life for all. Trade, which often takes a hit during times of conflict, would thrive in a peaceful world. Countries would be more open, more interconnected. The global marketplace would be a vibrant hub of cultural exchange and economic cooperation. The barriers that wars erect would come crumbling down, paving the way for a truly global economy. Tourism, too, would see an unprecedented boom. With no regions off limits due to conflict, the world would truly be at everyone's doorstep. The increased tourist traffic would not only pump money into local economies, but also promote cultural understanding and global harmony. The ripple effects of this economic prosperity would be felt across the globe. Poverty rates would plummet, literacy rates would soar, the standard of living would rise, the wealth gap would shrink, and all this simply because we chose peace over war. So you see, the economic implications of a war-free world are far-reaching and profound. They would not only transform our economies, but also our societies, our cultures, and our very way of life. The possibilities are truly endless. But beyond just economic prosperity, imagine the social harmony in a world without wars. In such a world, cultural exchange would flourish like never before. Picture this: people from all corners of the globe would have the opportunity to share their traditions, languages, and stories without fear. This exchange would not be limited to just the arts and culture, but also extend to knowledge, technology, and ideas. The sharing and blending of cultures would foster mutual respect and understanding among different nations, bridging gaps that have been historically difficult to overcome. And it's not just about respect and understanding, it's about the richness that diversity brings. Each culture, each individual brings something unique to the table. Our world would be a tapestry of experiences and perspectives, a vibrant, colorful mosaic of human life. A world without wars would also see a significant reduction in displacement, migration, and refugee crises. No longer would families be torn apart, forced to leave their homes in search of safety. No longer would children grow up in refugee camps, their youth marred by conflict and violence. Instead, they could grow up in a world that values stability, security, and peace. Imagine the relief, the sheer joy of not having to worry about your home being destroyed in the crossfire of a war you didn't start. Imagine the freedom of not having to flee, to seek refuge in a foreign land. Imagine the peace of not having to live in constant fear. But let's not forget the emotional and psychological implications. The absence of war means the absence of trauma caused by violence and conflict. Mental health would improve on a global scale, and societies would be healthier and happier. So, let's dream of a world where everyone has the chance to live, learn, and grow without the shadow of war looming over them. A world where cultural understanding and mutual respect are the norm, not the exception. We would be living in a world where everyone respects and values each other. The power to create a world without wars lies in our hands. Yes, you heard it right. Each one of us holds the potential to shape a future free from the clutches of conflict and violence. But how, you may ask? Well, it all starts with education. Education isn't just about textbooks and exams. It's about learning to understand different perspectives, cultures, and ideologies. It's about nurturing empathy and respect for all. When we educate ourselves and others, we're not just gaining knowledge, we're fostering a mindset of peace and acceptance. We're teaching ourselves to value dialogue over dispute, understanding over aggression. Let's take it a step further. Dialogue is not merely an exchange of words. It's a bridge that connects people, communities, and nations. A bridge that can be built only with the bricks of patience, respect, and active listening. In our everyday lives, let's choose to engage in meaningful conversations. Let's choose to listen and understand rather than argue and impose. Speaking of understanding, it's not just about comprehending someone's words, it's about recognizing their feelings, their fears, their hopes, and their dreams. It's about acknowledging that despite our differences, we all share the same human experience. And this understanding, it's the antidote to fear, the fuel for compassion, and the foundation of peace. You see, creating a world without wars is not just a lofty ideal. It's a goal that can be achieved, one peaceful act at a time. From the smallest gesture of kindness to the grandest act of diplomacy, every action that promotes peace brings us a step closer to that goal. So let's strive to make peace a habit, a way of life. Let's remember, peace isn't the absence of conflict, it's the presence of justice, empathy, and understanding. It's the echo of our collective will to choose love over hate, unity over division, and hope over despair. With every peaceful act, we are one step closer to a world without wars.